They are good years. Yeah, so are my tires. All right, Jenny, next item.
March 20, 2019 as Small Business Development Day.
Commissioner Watson.
Whereas the Commonwealth understands the importance of supporting entrepreneurship as one of the integral pieces of local and regional economic development, and whereas Kentucky recognizes that small businesses are the backbone of our economy and the glue that holds communities together, whereas the Kentucky Small Business Development Center provides guidance and consulting to help small businesses succeed by providing services and assistance through the development process, such as concept, startup, and growth. And whereas 99.3% of Kentucky businesses are small and 44.1% of Kentucky employees work for small businesses. And whereas Kentucky Small Business Development Center helps businesses lay a solid foundation to build success by low cost and no cost training and business fundamental workshops, non-cost confidential consulting with our statewide network of credentialed business consultants and financial resource connections. Whereas small business development clients open, manage, and grow their business, provide job creation and employment, offer goods and services to clients, pay taxes, and contribute to their communities. And now, therefore, Daviess County Judge Al Mattingly does hereby proclaim March 20th, 2019 as Small Business Development Center Day.
Who do we have here?
We have my cousin Lois Decker.
All right, well, let's go out and give it to her, and then we'll allow her to say a few words.
Judge Mattingly, County Commissioners, on behalf of Murray State Small Business Development Center in Owensboro and the other 12 Kentucky Small Business Development Centers in the Commonwealth and nearly 1,000 small business development centers throughout the U.S., thank you for recognizing Small SBDC Day, March 20th, 2019, and the work we do to help small businesses succeed. And also thank you individually, because I know that you are small business people too, and you work really hard to help small businesses through your votes and through what you do through your commission. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, and we appreciate you coming over, and we're always anxious to do anything that we can do to help business. I might mention that Ms. Decker and I ran into each other over at the Center for Business, not the EDC. I went over for an EDC meeting. I found out where it was. It's tomorrow. So I was just 24 hours early, but that's all right. Yeah, I know. Well, I had another one I went to anyway, so it didn't bother me. All right, thank you very much. Commissioners, anybody want to say anything? I just want you engineers to know we're not going to be as nice to you. Jenny?
See statewide transportation update by Transportation Cabinet Commissioner Tomblyn Gray and Deputy Secretary Paul Looney.
Come up. Come up. I only see one. Where's the other?
Commissioner Tomblyn sends his regrets. He was not able to make it. I'm Paul Looney, the Deputy Secretary.
We're not going to take any money from you then.
Oh, well, okay. Nice meeting with you.
I'm sorry you couldn't make it.
Well, he was sorry too. He has been burning up the miles across the state, so he was sorry he couldn't be here tonight. But I'll try to do my best in his stead. I'm the Deputy Secretary at the Cabinet. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you all. The judge said I would just have an hour, so I'll try to speed things along here for you.
You'll be talking to yourself.
I am an engineer. Jason wanted me to make sure you knew that, so I'll take that burden on.
Jason shows up, and this will be the last time I interrupt, and they're all laughing when I say that. When Jason shows up, it doesn't matter what other engineers are in, I focus on him.
Okay, very good. I was nervous that I was going to have to be completely honest with all the sisters here, so I'm glad they laughed.
Yes.
I was very, very nervous earlier. Do appreciate the opportunity, and I'm not really here to spend a lot of time talking. I know we're going to discuss the RS program here a little bit, but really what I wanted to just share briefly with you all, we know we're really focused at the Transportation Cabinet on the mission that we do. We are blessed to have men and women at the Cabinet who are really focused on how we can help support economic development and enhance quality of life across the Commonwealth with transportation and what we do to support that. We also recognize, as you all do, that budgets are very, very tight. And while we have 80,000 miles of roads across the state, at the Cabinet, we're only responsible for about 28,000 of those, which leaves a great 52,000 miles that the counties and the cities are responsible for maintaining, and you all know that. So really what Governor Bevin and Secretary Thomas have challenged us to do is, how can we work together collaboratively and leverage as much as we can the resources that we have to be able to affect as much as possible. You all at the local level know your local needs, you know your roads, you know the things that are coming up and on the horizon related to economic development, new schools, new developments, and how those things can be impacted by improvements to the transportation system. So really, as much as anything, and I believe Commissioner Tomblyn has probably spoke with you, Judge, about how we can understand your needs. So really have a dialogue and communication to understand as things arise that are new, but things that are on the horizon, and how we can, again, leverage the resources that we have to support you all in the things that are important here in your community in Owensboro and to your citizens. So that's really the bulk of what I wanted to say. I'll introduce Denitra Henderson, our Chief District Engineer, here with Jason, and I think, is Jason going to talk about the RS stuff, or Matt? Delegated that to Matt. Okay, very good. So I don't know. I'm happy if there are any questions to take those, or we can move
Commissioners, any questions before Mr. Looney, Commissioner Looney, sits back down?
I do have a comment.
Yes.
I just want to say I appreciate the way we feel like that you guys listen, and it means a lot that's happening. Communications going back and forth, and it's not just a one-way street, and we appreciate that. So thank you.
Well, you're welcome. The governor likes to say that there's no red or blue roads. There's just Kentucky roads that serve Kentucky citizens. So he's really focused on us making sure, again, that we're doing everything that we can to support the job growth that we have in the community, and we're at record unemployment, I know, across the Commonwealth, but it all starts at the local level. So we're here to support you all. I hope that you feel free at any time to contact me or Commissioner Tomblyn, and we'll do whatever we can to support you however we can. So I will get out of the way.
I appreciate that, and Secretary Thomas has always had an ear open, a door open anytime I've called or been up there. And to echo what Commissioner Watson says, I hope that we give the aura of cooperation with the state, because I know District 2 Engineer Denitra Anderson and I have had conversations regarding things, and we have put things off so we could speed things up. And in the end, I think we all have the same goal, which is a safe transportation network for all of our citizens. So thank you. Go ahead and sit down. I failed to recognize the celebrity that we have here, Keith Lawrence, the oldest newspaper reporter over at the Messenger Enquirer now, long-serving, long-suffering, and a lot of other things, just not long on hair. the Keith said specifically, commissioners, that 4 years ago when he was here, if you recall, he would have thought in that 4 years' time we would have moved the meeting date, gotten it moved back to 4 o'clock. And I told him that I have a resolution prepared for tonight under other business, Jenny, and I'm sorry, to move it to 6 o'clock. I think I have the support.
It'd be good.
Oh, okay. So it might be interesting if all of you stayed around and see how that ends up. It's based on road miles that will be paved in the individual districts of these commissioners. Oh, Keith, it's good to have you here. Come ahead, young man.
You need to read your place yet? No.
Thank you. My name is Matt West. I'm at the Owensboro Section Office President Engineer Supervisor. I oversee Daviess, Ohio, and Hancock counties, all the construction and maintenance in those 3 counties. As discussed, we're going to talk about the rural secondary program for the fiscal year 2020. The rural secondary program funds are used for the construction, reconstruction, and maintenance of secondary and rural routes in each county. The annual allocation of RS funds is based off the FITS formula, and a percentage of that is considered flex funds, and they can be used by the county for maintenance and paving or whatever's needed on county routes.
You know, it was interesting to me, the statement was made about the number of state or rural secondary roads in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Did you know that the city plus the state mileage added together, it just barely exceeds county road miles? So remembering that FITS formula, counties have lots of roads that they have to maintain. Now, you would be also interested that we passed a resolution at our last meeting asking the legislature, the General Assembly, to consider increasing the gas tax by 10 cents, which would roughly bring in $30 million. The best I remember, it's 52% to the state, 48% to cities and counties. And I think KLC and KCO had come to some agreement where there was some floor thing above that was going to be divided in a different way. But that FITS formula, because of the significant number of miles that counties have, it's very important that that be maintained and stay there. So it was just a little tidbit for your information.
Thank you. Little update on last year's projects. We paved Kentucky 258, the entire length of it, 5.46 miles. We also did a little maintenance on a bridge out there over Delaware Creek. It was in pretty bad shape. We put a new riding surface on that bridge. And at the 0.7 or at the bridge about the 3 mile marker, we fixed some guardrail that had fallen off and was down in the creek. Kentucky 405, we've resurfaced it from Kentucky 662 to Kentucky 2830, a total of 1.6 miles. And Kentucky 279 South, we completed a latex overlay and put a new riding surface on the bridge there by Panther Creek. For the 2020 fiscal year, there's a total of a little over $1 million for the projects in Daviess County. $744,000 for KYTC projects and $299,000 flex funds. This year, the rural secondary routes were ranked a B, which means that 20% of the rural secondary budget was retained for the flex funds.
Quickly, just go over the rankings: A, B, C, D.
A is the highest.
Or how many counties have an A? How many counties in District 2? 2?
0 in District
Okay, 0. So
2, maybe 3 have a ranking of B.
B. So Daviess County has a pretty good ranking.
Yes.
That's correct. Yes, that's correct. Were you saying that my county roads don't rank very well? Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure. And the percentage that we're able to keep as flex funds or those rankings are determined by the rankings, 20%, 15, 10.
Yeah, A's 25, B's
Yeah.
20, C's
Yeah.
15, and D's 10.
So the A is state roads, the rankings, B is state roads. Why aren't you guys doing a better job on our roads here? And so we have an A ranking.
If we had the flex funds, we asked for the flex funds this year, and
Yeah, where'd that get you?
we not very
All
far.
right, go ahead.
This year, our first recommendation for a KYTC project, Kentucky 554. We'd like to resurface it from Kentucky 81 all the way to US 431. It's about 4.3 miles. We'd overlay the road with 1-inch asphalt, and we'd address some base failures and rutting in the road that's out there. That estimated cost is about $395,000. Our second recommendation is Kentucky 405. That runs from Graves Lane to Kentucky 662, about 2.24 miles. We'd overlay that section of roadway with 1 inch of hot mix asphalt. We'd address some base failures in the roadway, and we'd redo all the guardrail along the lakes. Some of that's settled, gotten lower, been bumped over the years. We'd bring it all up to the current standards. And the estimated cost to complete that is about $330,000.
That's 744 total?
Yes, well, right around there.
Yeah. Have you had a conversation with our county engineer?
I've sent this to him, and he didn't have any comments or
Commissioners, tonight, what we typically would do is if we're okay with these recommendations, and I've had a conversation with the county engineer, and he was okay with these recommendations, then I would entertain a motion and a second to approve the KYTC recommendations 1 and 2 for the expenditure of the funds on the KYTC project.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. So do you want to go ahead and present the other?
Well, I can present it, but if if you want to give us the flex funds, I do have some recommendations. If you don't want to entertain those recommendations, you can keep them.
Since I have a wedding at 6 o'clock, I have to do, and since it has been our intent all along to keep those flex funds, why don't you save your breath and we won't be laughing at you. We will prepare later a motion, I guess is what we do, a resolution informing you that what we're going to do with those flex funds. Okay?
Sounds good.
Commissioners, any question or comment?
I was just gonna say, maybe you could put these flex fund recommendations on next year's list
For you to do?
for you to do.
Yeah. It was funny when you were talking about 554. Yeah, 554. Last night I sat with a lady, and she would have rather seen you go west on 554 up the hill, Nickel Ridge. She said that they've really got some. Hopefully, you guys might look at that side next year. And I think it had just been repaved 10, 15 years ago, but it's really deteriorating. That's a lot of strip mined area, a lot of seeping hillside.
We've got a spot out there actually on 81 as you make
Yes.
that turn that's gives us problems this winter.
One of the things, not telling engineers how to do your job, I wouldn't be so bold. But here in the city where we had trouble with intersections, Joe, if you remember, we put concrete intersections in because trucks stopping, starting, and making those hard turns left and right would cause that asphalt and the road base to shift. So just something you might keep in your hat. I can't accept any comment from someone sitting there. I can't take any comment. You have to come up here and make that recommendation. Mark has told you that you should not open your mouth and you should avert your eyes and not be called on. Sir, identify yourself.
My name is Jason Ward. And I'm the branch manager for construction and maintenance for the northern half of our district, which includes 6 counties.
And the answer is no.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I wrote his name down, glutton for punishment.
Glutton for punishment is his other name. Denitra, would you like to come up and just say a word or two? Are you done? I'm sorry. I don't mean to hustle you
What you
off.
want to tell me to do?
Judge, I got a question.
Yes, okay.
I would just like to ask a question that's been asked to me a lot, and it's probably more of a safety issue from Owensboro to Pettit, Kentucky, the long stretch of 431 that doesn't have any guard railing. I know a few months ago, or maybe a month ago, or 3 weeks, a car did go off the road and dip down on the bank when the water was up to the bank. Luckily, no one got drowned or anything, but that's always, I've heard that question a whole lot. I know money's one issue, but you know the area that I'm speaking of.
Yes, so, you know, we can look at it. Generally, we'll look at a spot. If it meets warrants for guardrail, if it's, you know, 3 to 1 or steeper, we'll look at it, we'll measure it up, we'll put it in a guardrail program. Got a limited amount of funds in that program. It's got to rank high enough in the program to get selected for a project. But a lot of that, I think the banks out there are 4 to 1 or flat or 3 to 1 at a minimum. But we can double check that, and if they've eroded over time, we can definitely try and get those back to their original.
I think I'd rather run down the bank, and I know there's water there, but it keeps, you know, I bang up my truck bad enough without hitting a guardrail. Jim, you were thinking over there, weren't you? Okay. Ms. Henderson.
Yes, sir. My name is Denitra Henderson. I'm the Chief District Engineer, since we need to introduce all of us. For District 2, we cover 3,200 miles in the 11 county district. So I have no comment unless you have any questions.
Just a quick update on Highway 60, if you can talk about the elevation of Highway 60.
I knew that would come up. I should have set into an update. That project is currently scheduled to be let for construction this April. So you will see the bidding documents go out sometime this month. In April, we will select a contractor and have a pre-construction meeting and get started on that project. The first bit of work will be utility work before we can move into the full road construction.
Do you think it will be done, completed this construction season, or will utility work take that long and we'll go into the next? Because I don't want to go through another flood season.
It will likely take that long for utility work.
Okay.
You talking about Oakford and
Oakford and raising 60 there at Katy Medicine. Okay. Well, whatever. We're very pleased that we've been able to finally get it off the schneid and move it forward. It's something that's it's an economic development issue with the paper plant out there, but also it's a safety issue because we have Stanley and Newman who become an island when we have water, and it's tough for those folks to get in and out. So.
Utility construction and the roadway construction will both be weather permitting.
Yes.
So we set up the contract on a working days basis instead of a fixed completion date, just so that we could try to get some better prices and not restrict that contractor to a fixed date if we did have excessive rain. So if we have a dry season, it's possible that that road will be open sooner, but it's weather permitting. So
While I have you there, let me say thank you for the 5681 4-lane. That went very smooth, I thought. I had no complaints from folks. It still hasn't kept people from going through the roundabout backwards, but I don't know that there's anything you can do to stop that unless you put up those little spiky things if you go the wrong way to blow the tires. But it makes it I think, safer. Particularly for those coming off of 81 in toward Owensboro. You don't have to watch
I
so much.
don't think the tire spikes would be approved.
Yeah,
by
I suspect not. So anyway, thank you. Anybody else out there have anything that they would like to say? Any comments? You want to introduce the folks that you brought?
We have Mark Welch. He's your field rep for rural municipal aid.
Yeah.
Nick is also a field rep for rural municipal aid in another part of the state. We met Paul, Jason Ward is our branch manager. We met Matt West, our section engineer, and then Miles Puckett is a staff engineer in the Owensboro section office. Keith Todd is a public information officer back here covering our press.
Okay. Well, Mark is the one, probably I got to beating on him last year, and we met and looked at that Highway 60 project. It was I think it was an eye-opener, wasn't it, Mark? It was. Yeah. Yeah, he got to see semis trying to go through that, and then he got to watch. That car's not going to try to go through there, is it? And I'm going, just watch them, just watch them. So anyway, guys and ladies, thank you for being here. If any other question or comment by the commission, okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome to stay around if you want, but I didn't think you would. So get out. No. It would probably be put in a national magazine, Judge Mattingly with a bunch of engineers. I'm not going to ruin my reputation. Uh-oh. Yeah. Telling you. That's all guardrails are good for, is being impaled. You know what? See ya. Thanks.
Thank you.
Number 2.
Well, there's our yearly bashing of KYTC and the engineers. All right.
Consideration for approval, A, minutes of the February 21st, 2019 court meeting.
Motion approved. Second.
Have a motion and second. Commissioners, you've all had a copy of the minutes in your possession for some time. Any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
B, all claims for all departments.
Move to approve. Second.
Have a motion and second. Again, Commissioners, you had a copy of the bills due and payable by Daviess County Fiscal Court in your possession. Any question or comment? Any question of the engineer or the treasurer? Sorry, Jim, I'm going to call you an engineer. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
C, Resolution 219, 2019, 2020 Kentucky Pride Grant Composting.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Commissioners, I think we do this most every year. This is and I don't know exactly what the grant will bring into us, but this is where we try to get money for our composting project out at the landfill. It's a resolution. We will apply for the grant. Any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
D, Resolution 3, 2019, 1920 Kentucky Pride Grant Talks Away Day.
Move to approve. Second.
I have a motion and a second. Again, Commissioners, this is a Pride grant. We've done this on several occasions. With this grant, we are able to collect paints and other materials that we typically wouldn't take at the landfill. And we hold a Talks Away Day in Daviess County. Any question or comment?
I would just encourage our citizens to pay attention to when this one comes up, because it is important to keep those toxic things.
It is, and we typically give lots of notice. I think this one doesn't have, when we have the waste tire day where they can dispose of it, I didn't know there were that many waste tires in Daviess County, but it is important that we do that and keep it out of landfill. Any other question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
E, hire Nathan Lanham and Warren Goetz as Public Works temporary summer employees.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, this is just our routine hiring for folks to help out in engineering. Any question or comment? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
F, second reading of KOC 620.52, an ordinance relating to the discontinuance of a portion of Barton Avenue.
Motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Commissioners, we've gone through the viewing, the public hearing, the first reading of ordinance. This is the second reading of ordinance upon passage and publication. That road, we will discontinue the maintenance of that road, and it will be removed from our road index. Question or comment? Question or comment from the public? There being none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
G, second reading of KOC 620.53, an ordinance relating to the discontinuance of a portion of Riverside Avenue.
Move to approve.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Again, Commissioners, the same things I said in the previous ordinance apply here. I just might add that the discontinuance of these two roads are because that Glenmore, and it's not Glenmore, the parent company, and I forget the name right now. I'm sorry? Sazerac purchased the property next door, and this was a road that actually entered into that property and wished to do away with it. So any question or comment? Question or comment by the public? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. You must like the red ball. Oh, okay. Next item.
3, consideration for appointment. A, RWRA Board, Becky Whitehead, served 2.5 terms, term 3/1/19 to 7/1/2023.
Motion approved. Second.
I have a motion and second, Commissioners. As you heard, Ms. Whitehead has served 2.5 terms. Becky has done a very good job. I've had good reports or reviews from the board. We are going to lose one of our appointments, George Stewart. I think next year George is retiring and will not be reappointed, and I felt it prudent that typically we don't like to appoint for more than 2 terms. Sometimes we'll go 3, but in this case, to make sure that we don't have 2 new bodies on a very important board for our community, I would recommend that we do this. Any question or comment?
I appreciate the explanation because I knew that's what we tried to do. So.
Yep. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
4, consideration for discussion. A, first reading of KOC 611.16, an ordinance authorizing the establishment of assessment warrants for the Pleasant View Estates area.
We have, this is just the first reading, so there is no vote taken tonight. Joe Shepherd with RWRA is here to explain any questions or answer any questions that you might have. Joe, would you mind coming up for just a second? I know Commissioner Wathen and I had a conversation with Joe earlier tonight, and I thought that was probably as good an explanation of why we do what we do as I've heard. So would you kind of go through what a warrant is and why we do this and what state law requires us to do?
Okay, Joe Shepherd, Executive Director for Regional Water. These are assessment warrants. These are projects where we don't have any sewer in the area. It's subdivisions where you have septic tanks. A lot of times, like in cases like this, they're really small lots, very poor drainage. The lots cannot handle the septic tanks. We're going into the subdivisions, completely tearing up the streets, the backyards, putting in all new systems to give them sewer service. Typically, they're tying into a system development line that's been put in place years ago, which is the case in both of these, that we had a line put in years ago and to serve other areas, other subdivisions. They're assessment projects because we take the value of what's inside their subdivision, not the main trunk line to go get them, but the pipes that's actually connecting or in the streets connect each individual house. And we take the total value of the project, including engineering, easement cost, the whole project. We divide it up by the number of lots being serviced, and we assess that value to each lot. So that's where the assessment comes in. Now, being part of KRS, the way the assessment is set up, liens are required to go on the project if you do the loan. Now, you got 2 options. You can pay lump sum up front, and there are no liens, or you can finance it through us for 20 years, and at that point you put a lien on the property until the loan is paid off.
Home is sold 10 years out.
Any type of anything that triggers a new mortgage, whether it be you getting refinancing on your mortgage or you sell it, you're required to pay this off.
Right. Okay.
Just like any other lien, you have to satisfy all liens before you can get either a refinance loan, or you sell your property.
Okay. Commissioners, any question or comment? Anyone from the public, question or comment? All right. Next item is going to be pretty much the same, so I think you've done what we need to do, Joe, so I appreciate it.
B, first reading of KOC 611.17, an ordinance authorizing the establishment of assessment warrants for the Hayden Road neighborhood area.
And again, this is first reading. This is the same thing that we just talked about out in the Pleasant View Estates area. Any question or comment? Question or comment by the public? Okay, next item.
C, other business be brought before the Daviess County Fiscal Court. Are you not aware of any?
Oh, you thought I had you there for a minute, didn't you, where we were going to talk about? Well, anyway, go ahead.
Public comments.
This is the time of our meeting in which we invite the public to come forward to the podium and identify themselves, and you're welcome to speak on anything other than what was on the agenda. Nothing. No comment.
E, comments by Daviess Fiscal Court.
Commissioner Koger.
Yes.
Commissioner Wathen.
I'll just say, excuse me, congratulations to Owensboro High School going to the state. And then on the girls' side, Apollo's playing Owensboro Catholic tonight, and one of them gets to go to state. So congratulations to those 3 teams.
Commissioner Caslen.
Judge, you might be, I thought Commissioner Wathen was going to go there, but I believe since our last meeting, we've had one of the dance teams, seems like one of the dance teams won.
Daviess County High School dance
National.
team. Mm-hmm.
And congratulations to them.
Right. The Owensboro Archery Club won the state title this weekend past, so that's pretty cool. You don't have anybody on that team, do you, Jenny? I didn't think so. And then you all heard me brag about my great nephew, Preston Mattingly. He's going to be here 2 weeks.
The meeting following spring break.
Okay, the meeting following spring break. Preston won the 120-pound class in wrestling. The Apollo High School team did well. We were going to have the Apollo Boys High School team wrestling folks and the girls dance team here all in one night, but we didn't think that was going to be a good idea. So I would like to just take a few minutes and talk to you guys about some of the things. First, I had a sophomore class representing all the high schools in Owensboro. Came through and toured the courthouse this morning. Had a really good conversation with them here in the courtroom, and then took them to several of the departments, and ended up in front of the phone booth downstairs where we have the time capsule that will be open in 2065. And I made them all raise their hand and take a pledge that said they would attend. So if you think 15, 16, plus 47 years, that'll be 62, 63. I told them I might meet them here. I wasn't sure. But they all pledged that when they came here, when they opened that time capsule, they would all holler in unison that Judge Mattingly rocks. If that happens, won't that be the coolest thing in the world? A lot of noise in the newspaper regarding OZ Tyler, and they're looking for space to build warehouses. I thought that we had that issue resolved with property out in the Mid-America Air Park and an industrial park. That's where those kinds of things should go. Unfortunately, I was notified last evening by Michael King, the fellow that was going to build warehouses, that he has asked that his conditional use permit be removed from the agenda, and they're not going to build out there. Really creates a problem for this community because they were turned down in one place there on Parish Avenue because of the I-2 zoning, and now we have businesses out in the air park that did not particularly want whiskey warehouses in the air park. Where can we send them next that we don't listen to folks who don't want them there. I mean, we have to either we're going to become another bourbon distilling, whiskey distilling city and community with warehousing, or we're not. Now, Nelson County had kind of the same issue, and one of the things they've done, and I'm pursuing that, is a text amendment to the zoning rules, which would allow alcohol warehouses in an AR zone, in a rural agricultural zone, with a conditional use permit on 100 acres of property or more, and being 750 feet away from any residence. If they're closer, they can kind of do like the chicken house ordinance that was passed with the resident's signature and approval. Then they can be closer. They would still have to comply with all of the state requirements as far as building code.
Does it take, why 100 acres? Does it take that many acres to get?
No, it's because of the issue of it's a flammable liquid, and you have issues regarding the black fungus, and could go down to 50, but it's 100 is an arbitrary figure that will be discussed and talked about.
Because if we could do smaller, if we end up doing it, it might be.
The smaller, what happens with smaller parcels, get closer to get closer to buildings, and that's 100 acres. There are a lot more plots where you can put them in the middle of 100 acres and then satisfy citizens' desire not to have that around. So that's one item that we have been working on. Thought it was resolved. As far as I know, it's not resolved. I do not know where Mr. King is looking now. He has not shared that with me. Second one, you are about to get a recommendation for us to initiate condemnation proceedings on some property regarding the Cedar Hills sewer project. We are at a critical time, and we have been negotiating with several property owners out there. We have not been successful, and Claude has been involved in that as well as Mr. Shepherd's, and the next step would be for fiscal court to initiate condemnation proceedings. Now, the first step, I don't believe those folks have been issued or sent a formal request and pricing for their property, so we would have to do that, give them 10 days or whatever the appropriate time, and Claude would prepare the letter, and once they reject that, then we would move to condemn the property. Every one of us on this bench have stated we are not going to condemn property and take that procedure lightly, but in this case, I've got a neighborhood with 125 homes that needs sewer service. If that treatment plant fails and we don't have sewer service to them, there will be placards placed on the door saying house uninhabitable, and you will have 125 families in this community. Pretty arguably, their most valuable asset is that home. And I, for one, am not prepared to allow that to happen because we can't come to agreement with some property owners. So anyway, Claude, would you quickly give us a
Well, as you mentioned, we would send a notice of an offer, and then depending on their response, after that we can and will file a petition. Once the petition's filed, we file a request for commissioners to evaluate, file a motion for entry, which allows us to, or the RWRA, whoever it is, to enter onto the property to begin the work, and then it's just a matter of the evaluation.
But now I'm sure that we will be sued and all those kinds of things, but my understanding with the condemnation, once the court has said, yes, you have the right to enter into the property, that we can go ahead and proceed. While the condemnation is proceeding through court, we can move with doing what we need to do.
And this is a right of entry and an easement. This is
not a taking of property, by the way. It's
taking in the sense that we are there's a an easement over the property, so there's
So
something.
they could not build.
Right.
Where they could not build or cover or, sure. And that's a good point. So we do limit and or restrict what they could. No different than a drainage easement
Right.
or
Any other
a road easement or any utility easement that we would do. I will not bring that recommendation to you lightly. I've always felt that money is the best condemnation. And we've all talked about that in the past, but in this case, it's come to that. So, anyway,
is there just one parcel that would be involved, or are there
two? Two. Okay. Let's see. Let's talk about ambulance service. Claude and I have been working as hard as we can. And on ambulance service and trying to come to some resolution as to how we will be providing that very valuable function to the citizens of Owensboro and Daviess County. We are further along than we were the first meeting in January, but I can tell you I'm extremely disappointed with where we're at. We could have been a lot further along had not several parties resisted negotiating and talking about it, and that's
at least providing some help.
Yes, that's saying it nicely, isn't it, Claude? I will tell you that Claude saw me get mad and get upset and walk out of a meeting, and 5 minutes later he got mad, got upset, and walked out of a meeting. And you see me get mad before. You haven't seen Claude get mad very many times. So those are the latest things that are going on behind the scenes, and most of the time folks don't understand. They only see the end result. But I thought it would be nice if the oldest newspaper reporter that I know wrote a story or two about those kinds of things. So anything else, commissioners? There's no other business to be brought before Daviess County Fiscal Court without exception. We're adjourned.